Okay, part one of the course then is called the big picture. Well, as its name kind of suggests, it's an intensive day looking at the big picture online, what is happening online, where are the trends. Absolutely essential that you do that at the start of the course, because there is no point positioning a business for a key phrase that is reducing in its popularity on search engines, so a key phrase being the words that you want to be found under. There's no point positioning the business around a trend that is radically reducing, a market that's radically reducing. So this is looking at what's happening in search on Google, where are the trends going within that, and using some of the tools that Google gives you. If you ask it the right questions, it gives you near complete transparency about actual traffic levels, and most businesses don't even realise that. So what we do is we look at the phrases for that you would like to be found under into Google that represent your products and your industry and your likely consumers' preferences, as it were. So this big picture element at the start of the course is about understanding the trends online, understanding the major business models online, how money's made, understanding social media and how that's now starting to replace some of the search engine optimization side of things. And it's finally what we call monetizing the web. So what we actually do is that it's quite predictable on page 1 of Google who gets what amount of traffic from position 1 to 10. So if you were to achieve position 1 for a particular key phrase, how much traffic would that practically result in? Well, we can actually put a number on that, and then we can extrapolate that through by saying if your website converted at, let's say, 1%, then what would that make bottom line? What would that make total number of sales, total number of conversions? Part 2 of the course then is the art of persuasion. It's looking at how people make decisions. Just very, very quick look at a little bit of neuro-linguistic programming, behavioural psychology, behavioural science, call it what you will. It's just looking at the basics of how people kind of make decisions. From that it very quickly moves into what are the sort of classic offline sales methods that we could actually cross over onto online. And a typical one, and a bit of advice that I would give you, is that your website decisions shouldn't end with a yes, no, they should end with a which one. And it's a subtle but significant shift, because it's, I am going to do something, but I'm going to decide which one, as opposed to, am I going to do something or not? Hopefully that's kind of a fairly obvious thing to state, but it's actually lacking on most websites. And the offline equivalent of that is the classic kind of gold, silver, bronze. The idea is that you offer kind of 3 packages, and as if by magic most people pick the kind of middle one, which is probably the one that you've got set up to probably make you the most money and the most commercial margin. That very quickly moves on into actual practical persuasive content writing, and we're going to use a technique called Veloso 5Q, and it's basically asking your user, asking your reader a series of questions to help them internalise the argument that you're trying to make. That part of the course has a very sort of practical finish, with you understanding how to write articles, how to write good headlines, how to apply that to a website, the distinct difference between writing copy for print and writing copy for web. Okay, third part of the course then is website improvement. What this is all about, as its kind of name suggests, it is taking an existing website and just physically making the thing work better, be more profitable, be more effective, be more productive, be more efficient, whatever way you look at it. This is about looking at the flow on websites. This is about looking at practically the layout of your homepage, using some research that looked at retina cameras. It actually followed the eye, looking at people's different websites and seeing how they interacted with different kinds of website. And that's a real eye-opener, particularly for people who've worked in kind of graphic design and who assume the web is all about images. Actually, we'll find from that that text has an absolutely vital part to play in persuading people to sort of take a course of action, like how to change the layout of your website, how to create sweet spots on the website which are sort of very clickable calls to action on the website, how to get people into the depth of the website, away beyond the home page, in other words, reduce the bounce back rate. Practically at the end of that, you should have a better layout, better flow, a better vehicle to implement some of your persuasion methods. Okay, part 4 of the course then is paid search. You might have heard the phrase pay-per-click, Google AdWords. All amounts to the same thing. Is basically you paying to sit on page 1 or page 2 or whatever, however much money you're prepared to pay. It is you paying to sit at the top of Google as opposed to getting there for free. Major problem with pay-per-click is that people don't really understand it. They don't understand the basic maths behind it. They don't track what's going on the website, so they don't really know whether they're being profitable or not. And to be honest, a lot of the time they're probably not. This part of the course is all about you understanding how to make good decisions when it comes to paid search, and part of that is that we look at 4 different case studies that are real businesses that have been through the centre in the last year. So we look at those case studies and try and draw out from it what it's going to take for you to actually make money from pay-per-click. Part 5 of the course is search engine optimization. You might have heard the phrase, SEO. It refers to you getting as high as you possibly can in search engines like Google without paying Google at least. You may end up paying a search engine optimization person, but you could equally come on this course and really understand search engine optimization. There is probably practically about 50 little techniques that you can use to practically improve your search engine position. There are probably kind of 5 or 6 absolutely really big ones that you could apply, probably another 45 or so smaller factors that you could apply. The first thing to say about search is that it is not a dark art, it's a practical science. Google makes its decision based on what's called an algorithm. It's a mathematical equation. It comes and looks at your website and looks at your relationship to other websites. It looks at your linkage to other websites, looks at what you've done on your page, and makes a decision about how confident it is that you are accurate, relevant around a particular key phrase. There are all sorts of things that you can do to practically improve your search engine position that don't necessarily involve spending 5,000 or 10,000 quid to bring in an outsider to do that we had earlier on. This is all about you understanding the numbers that lie behind that key phrase, the buy signals that lie behind that key phrase, and then deciding, looking at your competition online, how difficult is it going to be for me to realistically achieve a page 1 position, leading right up to an actual position 1, page 1 position. And we're going to, on the course, practically pull that apart so that you understand who your competitors are, what it's going to take to actually beat them, to get into those kind of positions, and make some relative judgments about whether or not that's worth the effort, and whether or not you should go for a different key phrase and try and be the top of Google for that. So although the title of this course doesn't actually mention search engine optimization, we do kind of weave that into the course because it's an absolutely crucial thing that you need to know as a business owner, as a marketeer, as someone working in the marketing department of an organisation. Okay, final part of the course then is part 6, is the exit, getting ready to exit. What we do on this part is that we do a final kind of major roundup. We look again at some of the kind of actual key points which are going to kind of make or break the success of your website. It's a kind of big recap through all those points, a big question and answer session to make sure you're clear about what you're doing. But what we then do is we finish by creating a little poster which summarises in little action plans all the things that you're kind of that we looked at during the course that you're going to build into your sort of final plan as you move forward. So it talks about your key phrase, it talks about buy signals. Your poster also has mentions of your monetization of the web, in other words your traffic levels, which key phrases you've chosen, what the traffic levels are for those. It mentions your pay-per-click, and you work out a simple little action plan. Your search engine optimization strategy and practical 10-point action plan to move forward from this point, an improved flow on your website, perhaps a new layout for your website, practical examples of some of the improved content, so you've created articles from scratch or that you've improved content that you've already got. It's a really powerful exercise in helping to pull together everything that this course represents into an action plan that you are confident about moving forward with.